Welcome guys, I am Vikram Kakar, a student of ACAS Cloud Online. Today we will see how to create site-to-site VPN connection. So to begin, I've created the architecture first, Azure side, resource group, a virtual network with a subnet within it, an NSG, also an inbound rule allowing all traffic and associating the subnet with it. Also an Azure side VM, Linux VM with no public IP and no inbound port connection. The next step is to create a virtual network gateway. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll keep the standard settings for the VNG. Again, regarding the naming standard, since this is in the Azure side architecture, so all the resources I have deployed, like the virtual network, subnet, NSG, resource group, the VM, as well as the VNG, I've named them as Azure side. So I'm calling this Azure side VNG. I'll create a new public IP. I'll call it VPN IP. I'll click create. Now the VNG deployment can easily take 20 to 25 minutes or more. So meanwhile, we'll create the on-prem architecture that will include a resource on-prem resource group, virtual network, subnet, NSG, and on-prem Windows VM. So let's begin. I will now create the on-prem VM. It will have no inbound port, but it will have public IP, and it's a Windows VM. The on-prem Windows VM has been deployed. We will now log into the VM. Now on the Azure side, we have created the architecture and we have also created the VNG gateway. On the on-prem side, we have also created the architecture, but the Windows VM on the on-prem side, we need to enable it to establish a connection. For that, we need to add roles and features. So I'll go to add roles and features, click next again, and select remote access. And here we'll select the direct access and VPN. Click add features. We will also select routing. Click next, and install. This installation could take a few minutes. The Azure side virtual network gateway has been deployed. Now we will go to the on-prem Windows, copy the public IP. We go to the Azure side VNG. We go to the resource. Now we create a local network gateway. So local network gateway is a resource which holds information about the on-prem architecture, like the Windows VM public IP and the virtual network address space. So let's do that. We give the name, we select the resource group, which is Azure side. I'll call it local gateway of on-prem. In the IP address section, I'll paste the public IP of the on-prem VM. In the address space, I will paste the on-prem virtual network address space, and I'll click create. Now we go to the virtual network gateway, the Azure side virtual network gateway, and on the left we see the connection. I click add. So now we add the connection. I'll call it Azure side to on-prem connection. The type is site to site. The local network gateway, I'll choose local gateway of on-prem. I'll give a private key. I'll leave the other options as they are and click OK. So the Azure side to on-prem connection has been set up. The status currently is not connected. So I'll go to the Azure side VNG. I'll copy the public IP. Now I'll go to the Windows VM. I'll go to Tools. So we have set up the connection. We now need to configure and activate the connection. So I'll go to the Tools. I'll click Routing and Remote Access. I'll right-click On-Prem Windows Local and click the option Configure and Enable Routing and Remote Access. I'll click Next, and I'll click the option Secure Connection between two private networks. Click Next again. keep it yes, keep it automatically and next, and click finish. Click OK. We'll wait for the installation to start and finish. So the wizard will now take us through the installation. I'll put the interface name as my connection. Click next. I'll keep it connect using VPN and click next. I'll click IKEv2, click next. So the VPN IP which I copied, I'll paste it over here. This is the on-prem side and we are now establishing connection with the Azure side. I'll click next. I'll keep the option route IP packets on this interface. Click next. Click next, next and finish. I'll now expand on Windows Local, Network Interfaces. Click My Connection, right click, Properties, click Options, select Persistent Connection. I'll click Security. I'll select the pre-shared key and paste it. Click OK. I'll now click My Connection and click Connect. So it says over here, the status has changed. It says now demand dial enabled. We now go and check the Azure side to on-prem connection. We will wait for a couple of minutes and we will refresh it and the status should change to connected. I will now refresh this page and as you can see the status has now changed to connected. So the VPN connection between both the sites is now established. So to confirm the setup, we go to the Windows VM and we go to the command prompt and we'll try and ping the Linux VM which we created in the Azure side architecture. I'll type ping and enter. So we are not getting a reply from the Linux VM, which means that there is some issue still pending in the connection. So we will go to the settings again and we will go to the routing and remote access section. We will expand IPv4. We will right click static routes and click new static route. And in the destination, we will put the network mask and we will click OK. And we will select my connection and click OK. We will now ping the Azure side Linux VM and click enter. And we have now received a reply from the Linux VM and there has been no loss in the communication as you can see. So we have managed to successfully set up a site-to-site VPN connection today. We have seen in detail how to set up, configure and activate the connection. Hope this video is useful for you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.